Tom is on with Sam on the number 34. Adam was riding last time at Cadwell with Pekka Pavrenta, which is
that's right, yes,
in the World Championship.
So it looks like Sam Christie is all ready for this one. He's already head tucked down, and it's like Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence just waiting for the red flag to be shown at the front. There it is. So green flag at the back, clicking in the first gear, all lights to the lights, the revs rise, out go the lights, and we are away racing for the SSD British Championship sidecars, and that's a good start there for Luke Williams on the number 91. The white, green and yellow machine goes to the outside and tries to sandwich your pole sitters, try and go the long way around, not to no avail, unfortunately, as they slot into second place, but still that is a position gained then ahead of the Christie brothers, I believe it was, but as we race now up towards the first hairpin there, that is that Blackstock leading the way.
It is indeed. Luke Williams has managed to take that second place from the Christie brothers. It was a very sharp start from Luke Williams there. Very, very sharp indeed.
I remember a few years ago when Luke Williams first came to Bemsey as a sidecar driver. Of course, we know his dad was ex-World Championship competitor and whatnot, but Luke Williams impressed so much. He won the Rookie of the Day, I think it was, 2 or 3 years ago now. And it's great to see him again just go from strength to strength and be right in there, and at the moment favourite for the British Championship.
Very much so. Of course, like you mentioned earlier, Bradley, Ryan Charlwood on the bike for the first time this weekend. They have been... yesterday was a bit of a struggle with the wet conditions we had during the test day, the practice day. I don't know, it was... Luke's good in the wet, Ryan's good in the wet, but just trying to gel in a weekend for the first time, no testing, very hard work. They were still making changes after qualifying this morning, and so far, judging by that start in this opening lap, they've gone in the right direction with those changes.
Because there's no communication, is there? There's no Bluetooth intercom on the side of the helmet or anything like that. So how do you communicate during the race to say, well, there's someone coming behind us on the inside, whatever it may be?
Almost mind reading.
Really?
Almost mind reading. When you're on the bike, you can hear, as a passenger, you can hear the engine note change side to side. If someone's trying to look up the inside, and generally as a passenger, you'll try and put your body in the way to narrow that gap as much as possible.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Well, they're coming around Corrams for the first time then, and that is Blackstock and Lawrence leading the way from the number 34 of the Christie brothers. Then it is Williams and Ryan Charlwood right there in third place ahead of Sam and Jack Laidlow. Is that Ben Birchall and Paddy Rosney up next in fifth?
Yes.
Certainly looks that way on bike number 16 as the pit boards go out and heads tucked tightly behind the fairing and across the line for the first time. Opening lap time of a 2-minute 5.087. Your top five all across the line, separated by 2.5 seconds. Then it is a 1.3 second gap back to number 6, Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. Then it is Biggs and Saviours ahead of Kirby and Sowen. Kev Cable and Mark Wilkes, that is, ahead of Atkinson and Milton. That is your top 10. On towards Wilson's they go then, everybody through safely there. Looked like a little bit wide for the Christie brothers in second place. Hopefully they can hold on to that second ahead of Luke Williams.
Bradley, I think that is.
It certainly is, yellow flag. Just having a look on the pictures that we have here. Unfortunately, nothing immediately obvious as they now make the way on towards Agostini's. So we'll keep an eye and an ear out for the cause of that yellow flag. But in the meantime, the race leaders are on towards Hamilton's, and it is still Luke Williams and Ryan Charlwood in their third position. So the championship coming into this weekend, of course, you do have, including this one, 5 races remaining in the championship. So 125 points on offer. There's no double points at Brands or anything, is there? No, okay.
Just a conventional championship once again this season. Last year we had a bit of I think it was drop scores we ran last year, and it was a bit of a pickle, to be honest with you, come season end. Certainly trying to talk about it live at the final round was an absolute nightmare. I'll say that much.
Yeah, that's very diplomatically put. Well done.
So firing beads across on an abacus during a race was not much fun, trying to work out who was actually leading the championship and who wasn't.
No, I can't imagine it was. As they go down the back straight then underneath the bridge in towards sector number 2. So we'll keep an eye out on these sector times. And I tell you what, it's the Christie brothers who have gone a tenth of a second quicker than your race leaders of Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence. The gap across the line was 0.9 of a second, so they're keeping it just underneath 1 second at the moment, and the top 4 still as it was. Looks like a little bit of a gap starting to form between 4th place, the Laidlow brothers, and 5th place, Ben Birchall and Paddy Rosney. Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement up next. But across the line then at the end of lap number 2, the gap was 0.9 between the top 2. It's now 0.7, and the fastest lap of the race on the first of the flying lap, a 1 minute 59.616. There goes Paul Kirby and Emma Salmon, and they are currently first of the Cup runners at the moment as well. The number 18 of Ben and Hyde yet to cross the line, but they should be right up there in Cup contention as well.
I think, looking at the tracker here, I think that was what our yellow flag was for, and I believe they may have pulled off at the end of the back straight.
There's a great shame there because they do lead the Cup Riders Championship at the moment over Kirby and Salmon, and if it was to remain this way, that would be a 25-point swing and a 10-point lead at the end of the race for Paul Kirby and Emma Salmon. It just goes to show it can just change as quick as that.
They've been doing a lot of hard work this season, Paul Kirby and Emma Salmon, on that beautifully liveried sort of turquoise blue and luminous yellow outfit, the number 27 bike. They had a DNF in the very first race at the first corner back at Donington Park, and they have been chasing Bell and Hyde for the remainder of the season. They've been swapping wins, 5 wins and 4 wins each, the favour going towards the Kirby and Salmon outfit with the 5 victories. They've been doing a lot of hard work to get themselves back into contention, and then, like you say, Bradley, in the blink of an eye it's changed and we've got a DNF for Bell and Hyde, and provided it stays the same, that's going to be a 10-point swing for them in favour of the championship lead.
Certainly is. Of course, after this one there will be 100 points on the table. 2 races tomorrow and then your 2 races with the BSB paddock at Brands GP, and that should be again another great weekend of racing. But in the meantime, the race leaders are heading down the back straight, then already deep into the second sector. We're looking up towards the Bromhole and Corrams for them, and there they are right on cue. And I'll tell you what, it looks as though there is a gap starting to open up. In fact, that is a large gap between the Christie brothers in second and Luke Williams and Ryan Charlwood in third place, but the Laidlow brothers are right there, hot on one outfit for that final rostrum position. But in the meantime, the gap that was 0.7 of a second at the end of lap number 2 has been reduced once more to half a second between Blackstock and the Christies. A 1 minute 58.791. These guys are really pressing on now, aren't they?
That's a fair pace, that is, from those front two. Look that way as it would be at the end of qualifying. Those front 2 outfits there of Blackstock and Lawrence and the Christie brothers, they were just a little bit ahead of everyone else, but very close to one another. And of course, back at Snetterton, when we're here for British Superbikes, Lewis Blackstock, terrible weekend in the races, but he was fast. So this is not a surprise.
No, absolutely not, as they make their way from Palmer's in towards Agostini's, and there's a 2-way fight for the race win, 2-way fight for that final rostrum position. And then Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement, they're sitting in a somewhat distant and lonely 5th place at this stage, but they did find a way through on Birchall and Rosny, who did a 2 minute 6.7 on that previous lap, so 5 seconds away from their personal best of the race so far. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Birchall and Rosny on that lap, but the result is they are in 6th position and 5th in class.
It's a bit of a big slip up there for sure. Like we said, Bradley, 5 seconds lost on one lap for Birchall. Hopefully nothing too terminal, and a little bit of a run wide or something innocuous like that for those guys.
Looking further down the order, looks like a great battle there between Hegarty, Kirkup and Peach as they make their way through the left-hander of Hamilton's and onto Oggy's, now turn number 6 on this Snetterton 300 layout. And was that Peach just going up the inside?
Wide.
So it just about keeps it on the road, but that was great control there. But it's again, just goes to show how easy it is. You know, you push the envelope just a little bit too much, and just like that, you lose around about a second or so.
It's very complex corner Oggies as well. It invites you in to go faster, but where it comes back on itself, it's a bit of a nightmare to try and really gauge it to the point where you're happy and you're satisfied with what you're doing through there.
The Laidlows are through, up into 3rd place now, ahead of the 91 of Williams and Charlwood. But in the meantime, here is your race leading duo. 0.5 was the gap. It's now down to 0.4, so they're just chipping away at that race lead of Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence. So it started out as 0.9, then 0.7, 0.5 now, 0.4 of a second between your leading 2. Number 95, Blackstock and Lawrence still have the reins on this race at the moment, but it's a 1 minute 58.525 from the Christie brothers. So I'm sure at this stage, Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence, they're starting to feel the pressure.
Good lap from Birchall there as well, his fastest lap of the race. So whatever that incident was on the previous lap, it was a one and done sort of situation, thankfully.
Looks like Luke Williams and Ryan Charlwood just about trying to keep tabs on Sam and Jack Laidlow as they go in towards Agostini's then. This is lap number 5, so of course at the end of this one it will be half race distance, 5 down, 5 to go, but it looks like a little bit of a mistake trying to get the power down from the Laidlow brothers, and Luke Williams says thank you very much, I'll have that 3rd place back, and the number 91, that white, yellow and green machine, back up into the podium placings. Around the right-hander of Oggies and Sam and Jack Laidlow, they'll be ruining their mistake then as they on towards Williams now before going down the back straight. And of course, we said it on the smaller capacity solo machines that we've seen racing earlier on today, but the slipstream in the sidecars still just provides as much as a benefit, if anything else. So 1 minute 58.525 for the race. Second position at the moment. The Christie brothers, they have the fastest lap of the race, but it's all about those championship points, and one more position would see them take the win and another 5 points. But of course, we do have 5.5 laps to go. As looking up the circuit, and looks as though Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence, they found an extra gear there because they've opened up their advantage. It was less than half a second, but for my money there, Jed, they've opened it up now.
I would say so. And it looks like the Laidlows are again hot on the heels of Luke Williams, Ryan Charwood coming up for that final podium position. Sat in the slipstream down the start-finish line. This could be a move into turn one, maybe. Possibly a little bit too far back, even for them. And their youthful exuberance, shall we say.
Yes, I like how you worded that one. There goes Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. Ben Birchall and Paddy Rosney chasing hard. And that time around, in fact, Ben Birchall and Paddy Rosney are 1 minute 59.7. And they are only the fifth outfit to go sub 2 minutes in this race. They closed down the gap by 2 seconds on Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement in that particular lap alone. But that battle for third place is not done and dusted yet. We do still have 5 laps to go as they make their way out of Palmer's, and once again the Laidlow brothers have it. So that would have been a move up at Wilson's. Outbreaking at Louis Williams and Ryan Charwood, the reigning British champions, find their way through on the number 91, and they take third position once again. So in terms of the championship then, of course, after this one we mentioned there will only be 100 points left, and it is between Williams and Laidlow, so it's either going to open up by a little bit or close down by a little bit, but either way they are locked together on circuit.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be, I think we're going to see a similar situation to what we saw last year, with the championship coming down to that final race and potentially even the final lap. But it is very much, I think even at this point, 41 points behind Lewis Blackstock. Looks like he's going to take the victory today ahead of the Christie brothers, so it could even be a three-way fight by the time we get to the final day of the season at Brands Hatch.
I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, even in this race alone, you said that the Bell and Hyde, they come into this one with a 15-point lead, and one DNF, and it's that's it, championship
Total
lead.
change,
exactly,
yeah.
That's exactly it. But again, race leaders making the way in towards Murray's now, and it is still Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence, number 95, the black and the red machine, who still lead the way as they come out of Murray's onto the front straight once again, getting the power down up through the gearbox, and the Christies are still right there with them. Of course, the Christie brothers of Sam and Tom, 0.8 of a second now is the gap, and that time around they lost 0.3 of a second. So Blackstock and Lawrence purple in sector number 2.
Ellis and Birchall very, very close for that 5th place.
That time around, 0.1 of a second was the gap. Birchall looks for the inside line. No opportunity, no room there. He holds on to that 6th place at the moment. A little bit of chatter on the radio. We'll try and pick it up in just a moment. But yeah, it's down to 0.1 of a second between Ellis and Birchall. As across the line now comes Kevin Cable and Mark Wilkes with Atkinson and Middleton not too far adrift, only 0.3 of a second.
A nice clean lap there for the Laidlow brothers in 3rd place. Nice 59.6 for them, 1 second faster than Williams and Charwood. They've really consolidated that 3rd place now, and I think it's looking quite favourable that they're going to carry that through to the end.
That's exactly that, isn't it? Unfortunately, it seems as though they are a little bit too far behind now to fight for that 2nd place position, because the gap between themselves and the Christie brothers is 5.9 seconds, and we do only have 3.5 laps left to go in this race. But I'm sure they'll take a podium.
Absolutely. And ultimately, like we've just been saying, Bradley, Williams and Charwood, they are their championship competitors. So yes, they're finishing 3rd in this race, but they're actually beating the people they need to beat to close that championship lead down.
There goes number 38 of Moss and Hawkswell. So 14 outfits currently circulating on the circuit. So we do have, what have we got there? 6 GP runners, 6 Cup runners, and then the 2 wild cards in the form of Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement with Kevin Cable and Mark Wilkes on the 111. Race leaders back in towards Murray's, and we are into the latter half of the race now, so time is starting to tick, and no one knows that better than the Christie brothers, because they took out 0.9 of a second from the race leaders in the 1st sector alone. They went purple in that 1st sector. Can they back it up? And not this time around, but it's still a 58.6, so half a second is how much they've closed that leading advantage by.
This could get very tasty on the last lap. Very tasty indeed.
I think you could be right. I mean, it's like you said, difficult corners here at Snetterton as well. The one there at Oggies, like you say, invites you in, and you can make a slight mistake, it'll run you out wide, and spit you out, but where are the prime overtaking opportunities here on the sidecar? I mean, I can imagine that one will be up there at Wilson's.
Wilson's indeed, Agostini's as well. It's a little bit more of a Hail Mary, perhaps, in terms of the braking zone. Very easy to get it wrong, and ultimately as well, down the back straight into Brundle's. Again, that is a full Hail Mary into there, especially when you're running at the pace. And I think this is a change for the lead. Sorry, Bradley, is that Christie's going up the inside through Hamilton's? No, they were shut off by Blackstock and Lawrence there, but it is very close. It is very close indeed between those two.
Certainly, the trouble is you don't want to show your cars too early either, do you? So Blackstock and Lawrence, they've been leading this 7 laps complete, so we do have 2.5 to go because they are now on towards Williams and down the back straight. But even on these three-wheel sidecar machines, how important is that slipstream down the Bentley straight?
It's quite important, I think. Obviously, sidecars aren't exactly the most aerodynamic. It's not like we're talking sort of GT3 cars, touring cars, you know. There's bits that stick out in odd places, you know, passengers, helmets and things like that. So we're not talking like it's not like we're talking like a closed cockpit sort of race vehicle. But any slipstream advantage you can pick up, it's going to be very vital, especially with these 600 engines, sort of 125, 130 brake horsepower, pulling 2 people around, plus the weight of the chassis, sort of around 400 kilos. So any minor advantage, even half a mile an hour, is going to serve you well.
Certainly is, as they're back onto the front straight once more. So we're coming up to start the penultimate lap, and this gap is about as close as we've seen all race. So it was 0.41 and it's now 0.372, so they close up marginally as they head in towards Riches as well. So looks as though Christie's are just sizing up their opposition in front of them at the moment and just trying to pick out where they may be able to find that move. Here comes Ben Birchall and Paddy Rosney on the number 16. And they have found their way through, and Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement, and put quite a bit of daylight between themselves and the former British champions as well. 4.5 seconds is the gap between Birchall and Ellis, and then 3.5 seconds between Biggs and Sagers as well. So that is your top 7 all across the line. Next up will be the number 27, and leaders in the Cup race at the moment, Paul Kirby and Emma Salmon. And we've got a good fight here between Kev Cable and Mark Wilkes, with the number 26 of Atkinson and Middleton. But of course, Cable and Wilkes not scoring any points. Back with the leaders, and they're through the left-hander of Hamilton's, and this could well be a run there, looking up to the inside in towards Oggies. No, not quite close enough.
They get fantastic drive out of Agostini's to the Christie brothers. I've noticed it pretty much the last 4 or 5 laps. They've really pulled in on that little short straight between Agostini's and Hamilton's on our race leaders, Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence.
So it's a difficult spot there to overtake. I mean, carry as much speed as you like. If you can't find a way through, then it makes it that much more difficult, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a very tricky corner as well, that left-hander. Very easy to overcompensate going into the corner and kill your own drive, but also very easy to go over the top with it and put yourself on the grass.
There's a certain finesse, isn't there, that you need?
There is. For the infield, it's Snetterton. I think it's really introduced sort of 4 or 5 corners since the change has been introduced in the last 15 years, but it is a very complex and very technical section, I've always found.
I think it's one of them where on paper it looks easy. I mean, it's flat, the corners there's no real camber, but it's just unlocking those final secrets, isn't it, that really counts. And again, the gap closing down as we start the final lap. They pull out to the inside on the Hannafin by the Christie brothers, going for the race lead. Oh, I tell you, they get their nose chopped off by Blackstock and Lawrence. They know they're there, and they're defending that race lead with all their might as they go round Riches and on towards Wilson for what will be the final time. So 0.1 of a second is the gap between your race leading 2. And Blackstock and Lawrence then hold a slim advantage of 1/10 of a second. Looking out for them as they go in towards the left-hander of Palmer's. Any moment now, they do go out of sight briefly, unfortunately. We'll pick them up in a couple of seconds, and there they are. It is still Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence who lead the way ahead of Sam and Tom Christie, but the 95 and the 34, this is going to go down all the way to the flag.
This is very close. A little bit of a back marker coming into play there with Hawkswell, the Moss and Hawkswell outfit, but they've both cleared them on the run into Agostini's. This is going to be hard for the Christie brothers from here to the line now to take this victory from Blackstock, I think.
I think they're going to be building all the way through, aren't they? And in fact, that fight for 3rd place isn't done and dusted either, because the Laidlow brothers are up in the 3rd place ahead of Luke Williams and Ryan Charwood, but Luke Williams is right there and could well put on a move for that final podium position. So
fastest lap of the race last time round for the number 91 of Williams and Charwood as well. So they are gelling by the lap, those two, as they carry on in their debut weekend together.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be working for them at the moment. You mentioned that personal best lap of a 1 minute 59.254 to go personal best on that previous lap. So looking up towards the far end of the circuit, and here comes the fight for the race lead, and that's the Christie brothers out in front. So Sam and Tom Christie, they found a way through on Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence. Can they hold on to the race lead as it goes through the left of Murray's? No opportunity there, just trying to square off the corner and get the drive, but up through the gearbox. I'll let you call them across the line.
And here we go, they have done it. Fair play to the Christie brothers. Sam and Tom Christie take the victory from Oscar Lawrence, Lewis Blackstock and Oscar Lawrence in second place there. A fantastic second half of the final lap. And third place is just about going to go to Sam and Jack Laidlow ahead of Luke Williams and Ryan Charwood. A very close finish between those pairing as well.
Great stuff there all round for the fight for the win and that final podium position. We're inside the top 5. Here comes the number 16 of Ben Birchall and Paddy Rosney. So that'll be a welcome 5th place for them. And the fastest lap of their race, a 1 minute 59.791. So that'll put them in a good position on the grid for the race tomorrow as well. Number 6, the former British champions of Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. Next up is Biggs and Sagers on the number 5. They round out the top 7. And in fact, will be credited with 10 points in the GP class because, of course, the outfit in front, Ellis and Clement, the wildcards, do not score points. Paul Kirby and Emma Salmon take victory and the championship lead in the Cup Series as Kev Cable and Mark Wilkes come across the line. Of course, Mark Wilkes, a former World Championship winning passenger, if that's right.
Yep. Former World Champion as well, I believe, with Tim Reeves.
Good stuff there for Cable and Mark Wilkes. Atkinson and Middleton up next. They take second of the Cup placings, 20 points for them. And then it's the number 4 of Andy Peach and Joss Hope. Then it's Sean Hegarty and Jack Napton. Just a couple more outfits to go. And Moss and Hawkswell already across the line. And that will be 6th in the Cup Series, 10 points for them, 14th overall, with Michael Kirkup, number 83, rounding out the field in 13th position overall and inside the top 5 in the Cup Series.